Okay. Well, this didn't ask me for a title or anything beforehand, but I just wanted to do a quick live of the by the way, I preferring to do live because then it doesn't save a video to my phone camera and take up space that way. I know it's kind of cheesy, but this is the pre-spawn special of Bombina Breeders. We have Tippy and Moper, who have paired many times before. You can see them right there. They have been like this. He's been grasping her since last night. No eggs yet, but generally, well in advance of the female actually laying eggs, a male will cling to her and she will not shake him off. Earlier, one of the other males was clinging to the two of them upside down, and I was worried that one of them would be injured. Oh, you can see Spaz's head pointing right there, and then there's Beth. She is not quite ready to spawn just yet. I did offer them all some food, but because they're in breeding mode, they're not as interested in food as you would expect. Even Moper doesn't seem to want to eat right now. Now, this is perfectly fine. An otherwise healthy toad can go potentially several weeks without food, without ill effect. No need to concern yourself if the, I don't know why, but anyway, if the toad is not eating for several days. So let's see. Let me see if I can get us a better view of what's going on in there. As you can see, the water level is pretty deep. You know, it's about 6.5 to 7 inches deep on the deepest end. And the toads just seem to be loving it. Oh, sorry, Beth. All 5 toads are perfectly fine in here. I just have only seen a few yet. So, Moper shouldn't be injured by, Tippy's activity. They're probably all just getting prepared to deposit eggs. And so what should happen tonight is they'll swim around. Moper will lay eggs individually because fireblood toads do not lay eggs in clusters. And then the male, in this case Tippy, although later in the season she might mate with other males. It's really just a matter of who gets to her first when she's ready to lay. She will deposit eggs individually and the male will fertilize them. Actually, let me just quickly get rid of dead waxworms that are floating in there. Only because I don't want too much material rotting in there, especially when eggs are produced. Just because it might take me a while to get all the eggs out, and I don't want horrible water quality. It would harm an egg much more greatly than it would harm a fully grown organism. Anyway, you know, you can see there's a lot of foliage, a lot of plant material in there. The 2 toads seem to be doing well. Well, not just the 2, the others as well. See, she doesn't even give a darn that there is a male riding her. If she was not ready to lay her eggs, she would not put up with this. Just a quick update. Pickle is in there, and I put Rick and Morty in the tank with him because they're now big enough to the point where he will not eat them. When I first got the 2 smaller pickerel frogs, they were way too small to put in with Pickle. But, they seem to be doing perfectly fine, although the younger the younger pickerel frogs are hiding. Pickle is a little bit less shy, but he will still hide from me. That's just to be expected from pickerel frogs. Anyways. So, let's see if we can, I'm hoping we can capture on camera. So, I've bred these guys several times before, so I have a general idea of how this is all going to go down. So, oh good, he's starting to do it. If you watch Tippy's, back legs, he's kind of shifting them side to side a little bit. Just keep an eye on what he's doing. And this is a telltale sign that very soon there will be spawning going on. And, it happens overnight, even though these are diurnal frogs. Overnight, what will happen is the, female will swim around with the male, and they will deposit eggs, and the eggs will be fertilized. Then what will happen is, probably over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks, the female will produce more eggs on a nightly, well, not on a nightly, several times a week. So she will probably lay her eggs tonight, and then in another 4 or 5 nights, she will lay more eggs. However, the number of eggs she produces the next night will be roughly half of what she produced the first night. And a few more nights of egg production will still yield smaller clutches. And that's generally how these guys produce their eggs. I don't know when Beth will start producing eggs. It shouldn't be any longer. You know, maybe in the next couple of nights I'll get Beth eggs. But this is basically how these guys operate. And so, there'll be eggs hopefully tonight. And then I'll take care of things tomorrow morning. Obviously, it snowed. I have to go to the lab later because that's where I store the ethanol that I'm going to spray the old Rick and Morty tank with. That's because pickerel frogs have peptides or small proteins that are toxic to other amphibians. And I just want to denature them with some ethanol. And of course, I'm going to use detergent and everything to clean out the tank. But ethanol should help make sure things are really detoxified so that the Bombina eggs don't get harmed. And we will go into tadpole care and everything later. But principally right now, we're worried about getting the eggs out of the female. And yes, you can induce firebillies to breed by injecting them with hormones and causing them to develop eggs. One, that should be left to professionals who are in a lab setting. My lab work is mostly plants and insects, not vertebrates. And I don't want to get too much into this, but you would actually be in serious trouble if you didn't have proper clearance to undergo some of those procedures. You need particular approvals and several other things in place before you can inject vertebrate animals with anything. Also, the chemicals are very expensive, and these are pets that I don't want to risk the life and health of. They can actually suffer shortened lifespans and other nasty side effects if they're injected to... oh, there's Beth. Beth is coming to see me, and she's climbing on all the plants. Sorry. Anyway, so I don't want to inject them. So that's why I went through the process of hibernating them and just doing everything naturally. Because, you know, it's easy enough to get them to do it. It just takes a little bit longer. But, you know, it's worked. I've had it happen before. And so I'm really looking forward to this going on. And so now that we've gotten to the point where the toads are in pre-spawn... Sorry, guys. Sorry. We might... Why don't I clear up a couple of things? Maybe this isn't actually in live mode. Anyway. The adult toads will not generally eat the eggs. And they will generally not eat the young tadpoles. Mostly because the tadpoles stay under the water surface. But it is a good idea to get the eggs out as soon as possible, just because the concentration of wastes and everything from the adults might be too much for the eggs to handle. Eggs take about 4 or 5 days to hatch, and tadpoles need to be fed on the 3rd or 4th day after hatching. The first few days, the anus is not fully extended out of the tail, which is why they cannot eat, because they cannot poop. They are living off of their yolks at that point. Why do tadpoles hatch at such an underdeveloped stage, you might wonder? Well, think about it. It makes perfect sense. The tadpole is far less likely to be preyed upon if it's a mobile organism that can swim into a crevice. You know, the adults can't necessarily squeeze into a little space to put the egg in a safer area, but the tadpole would have an easy time swimming into somewhere where it can hide. So if you're mobile at a smaller stage, you have an easier time avoiding predators. So they hatch as soon as possible, even if they're not quite ready to start feeding. They can do the development of the digestive tract outside of the egg. And so we'll keep an eye on them developing. I'll probably just station them here. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could move the pickerel frog tank to here and keep the babies next to their parents. It doesn't really matter. But I just thought I'd give everybody a general update of what was going on. I'm excited to see them spawn. I'm unfortunately going to be working until late tonight, so I won't get to see a lot of the action, although generally I'll wake up in the morning and the adults will still be busy spawning until about noon. Basically, Mopa will purge her entire reproductive tract tonight into tomorrow morning, and then when she's done, she will disband from her partner, and then she'll develop more eggs in her body, and the process will repeat for several more weeks. I think her record is 5 clutches in one season, and the clutches are not all equal size. Obviously, the later ones are much smaller, ranging from like 30 to 55, although the first clutch might have 200 or so eggs. This will be really fun to see. So stay tuned.